The silence that followed his words hung in the air like shattered glass. Emma stood frozen, tears welling in her eyes as David's confession pierced through every assumption she'd ever made about him. Sometimes the strongest people carry the heaviest burdens, and in that moment, she realized she had never truly seen him at all. If you've ever judged someone's life choices without knowing their story, this video might change how you see the world around you. Hit that like button and subscribe to join our community of storytellers and truth seekers who believe in the power of understanding. Emma Reeves prided herself on reading people. As the new counselor at Westlake Elementary, she developed a reputation for connecting with even the most difficult parents. But David Mercer remained an enigma. She watched him now across the parent-teacher conference table, his broad shoulders slightly hunched as he reviewed his daughter Lily's progress report. At 42, David had the weathered good looks of someone who spent time outdoors, with laugh lines around his eyes that contradicted his usually serious demeanor. "Lily's thriving academically," Emma said, sliding a folder of colorful artwork across the table. "Her emotional intelligence is remarkable for a 9-year-old. David's face softened as he examined his daughter's drawings. "She's always been perceptive. Gets that from her mother." The mention of Lily's mother, a subject notably absent from previous conversations, caught Emma's attention. In the 6 months she'd known them, David had never volunteered information about his personal life. "Mr. Mercer." "David, please," he corrected gently. "David," Emma continued, "I've noticed Lily sometimes gets anxious about going home after school events. She mentioned wanting you to make friends with other grown-ups. I wonder if she's picking up on something." David's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Kids notice everything, don't they?" "They do," Emma agreed. "And they worry about their parents' happiness, sometimes more than their own." The conference room fell quiet except for the distant sounds of children playing outside. Through the window, autumn leaves spiraled down from the oak trees that lined the school grounds. "Lily's mother isn't in the picture," David finally said, his voice matter-of-fact. "It's been just the two of us since Lily was 3. Emma nodded. This much she'd gathered from school records. "Single parenting is incredibly challenging. Our school has some great resources, support groups, community events." "We're managing fine," David interrupted, his tone polite but firm. He gathered Lily's papers into a neat stack. "Is there anything else about her academic progress we should discuss?" Emma recognized the deflection but pressed on gently. "Actually, I was wondering if you might consider joining our parent advisory committee. We meet monthly, and Lily mentioned you used to teach before switching to construction management." Something flickered across David's face, surprise, perhaps, that his daughter had shared this detail. "I appreciate the offer, but between work and Lily, my schedule is pretty full." "Of course," Emma said, though disappointment colored her voice. "I just thought, well, Lily talks about how you don't have many friends since moving here." David's expression closed like a door. "Ms. Reeves." "Emma." "Emma," he amended, "I understand your concern comes from a good place. But my social life isn't relevant to Lily's education." "Isn't it, though?" The words escaped before Emma could reconsider. Children model what they see. If they never see their parents forming connections, taking risks. David stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the linoleum floor. "Thank you for your time. I should get going, Lily's waiting at after-school care." Emma watched him leave, frustrated by the wall he maintained. As a counselor, she recognized isolation when she saw it, and something about David Mercer's self-imposed solitude bothered her more than it should. 2 weeks later, Emma found herself standing in the hardware store, staring blankly at shelves of light fixtures. Her apartment's kitchen light had been flickering for days, and YouTube tutorials had failed her miserably. "The ballast is probably shot." She turned to find David Mercer beside her, a shopping basket hooked over one arm. Without his usual button-down shirt and slacks, dressed instead in worn jeans and a faded Henley, he looked more approachable. "I'd offer a translation, but I don't speak hardware store," Emma admitted. A hint of a smile touched David's lips. "It means you need a new fixture, not just bulbs." "Ah. The expensive option." "Of course." She sighed, examining price tags with growing dismay. "I could take a look at it," David offered, then immediately seemed to regret the words. "I mean, if you're comfortable with that." Professional courtesy. Emma hesitated only briefly. That would be amazing, actually. I've been eating dinner by phone light for 3 days. They arranged for him to stop by her apartment the following evening. As they parted ways at the checkout, Emma couldn't help feeling she'd just crossed some invisible boundary. You really didn't have to bring dinner, Emma said as David set a paper bag on her kitchen counter. The promised fixture repair had expanded to include takeout from the local Thai restaurant. Lily's at her grandmother's for the weekend, he explained. And I figured you might be hungry if your kitchen's been out of commission. Emma watched as he efficiently removed the old fixture, his movements precise. There was something compelling about seeing someone completely in their element. So you taught before construction? She asked, handing him a screwdriver when he pointed to it. High school physics, he confirmed. Lifetime ago. What made you switch? His hands paused momentarily. Life circumstances. Construction pays better, and the hours worked better for us after Caroline died. The casual mention of his wife's death hung in the air. Emma waited, giving him space to continue or retreat. Cancer, he added after a moment. Aggressive. 6 months from diagnosis to after. I'm so sorry, Emma said softly. David nodded, returning his attention to the wiring above. Lily was too young to really understand. Sometimes I think that was a blessing. They ate dinner at Emma's small table once the new fixture was installed, casting warm light over the kitchen. David proved to be surprisingly good company when not behind the parent conference barrier, sharing stories about Lily's latest obsession with marine biology and his struggles with 4th grade math homework. Why construction? Emma asked as they finished their food. I mean, specifically. You could have done lots of things. David considered the question. I like building things. After everything fell apart, there was something healing about creating structure. Seeing immediate results. He shrugged. Plus, I'm good with my hands. I noticed, Emma said, then blushed at his raised eyebrow. The light fixture, I mean. His laugh was unexpected and transformed his face entirely. Emma found herself wanting to hear it again. As David prepared to leave, Emma found herself reluctant to end the evening. The school's fall festival is next Friday, she said. Lily mentioned she's excited about the science booth you're helping with. Just some simple physics demonstrations, he said. Nothing fancy. Still, it's nice you're participating. Emma hesitated. Some of us usually grab coffee afterward at Riverside Cafe. You'd be welcome to join. The invitation hung between them. David's expression turned guarded again. I appreciate that, but I should get Lily home after school nights. Emma nodded, trying to hide her disappointment. Of course. Well, thank you again for rescuing me from the dark. After he left, Emma found herself replaying their conversation, wondering what invisible line she'd crossed that had caused him to retreat once more. The fall festival transformed Westlake Elementary's gymnasium into a carnival of learning stations. Emma moved between booths, helping where needed, but found herself gravitating toward the science corner where David was demonstrating principles of momentum with marble runs. He was different here, surrounded by enthusiastic children. More animated, patient as he explained concepts, his face lighting up when understanding dawned in young eyes. Lily assisted proudly at his side, her resemblance to her father striking in the way she seriously explained experiments to her peers. Later, as families began departing, Emma approached them. That was impressive, she told David. You're a natural teacher. Old habits, he replied, but she caught the pleased look in his eyes. Dad, can we get ice cream? Lily asked, bouncing on her toes. Please. Madison said there's a new place by the park. David hesitated. It's getting late, Lil. Actually, Emma interjected, a group of us are heading to Riverside Cafe. They have amazing ice cream. You're both welcome to join. Lily's eyes widened hopefully. Can we, Dad? Please. Emma watched the internal struggle play across David's face before he relented. One scoop. Then straight home for homework. The cafe was crowded with festival goers, teachers and families mingling in the warm space. Emma introduced David and Lily to her colleagues, noticing how David positioned himself slightly apart, responding politely but never initiating conversation. When Lily ran off to sit with classmates, Emma slid into the chair beside David. "She's having fun." "She is," he agreed, watching his daughter with a mixture of love and something like wistfulness. "You could too, you know," Emma said gently. "Have fun. Connect." David's gaze shifted to her, his expression unreadable. "Why does my social life concern you so much, Emma?" The directness of the question caught her off guard. I suppose because I recognize isolation when I see it. Professionally speaking. Is that all it is? Professional concern? Heat crept into Emma's cheeks. "I just think you're interesting. And Lily clearly wants you to have people in your life." "Lily wants a normal family," David said quietly. "Something I can't give her." "Normal is overrated," Emma replied. "And you're doing an amazing job with her." David stared into his coffee. "Do you know what she asked me last week? If I was lonely. 9 years old, and she's worried about me being lonely." "Are you?" Emma asked. "Lonely?" The cafe's ambient noise seemed to fade as David considered her question. "Sometimes," he admitted. "But it's complicated. Life usually is." David's phone buzzed with a text. "Lily's friend's mom is offering her a ride home so she can stay longer," he said, looking up. "Would you mind walking with me? There's a park nearby." The evening air was crisp as they strolled along the river path. Street lamps cast pools of golden light, and the water reflected the emerging stars. They walked in comfortable silence until reaching a bench overlooking the water. "I've lived here almost a year," David said as they sat, "and I've never actually walked down here." "It's my favorite spot," Emma admitted. "I come here to grade papers sometimes." David nodded, then seemed to make a decision. "You asked earlier why I choose to stay alone. You don't owe me an explanation," Emma said quickly. "Maybe I want to give one." He took a deep breath. "After Caroline died, I dated someone. About 2 years later. Lily was 5 then. Things got serious quickly, too quickly, looking back. Melissa moved in with us." Emma listened, sensing they were approaching the heart of whatever kept David so carefully guarded. "Lily adored her," David continued. "Started calling her Mom after a few months. I should have. I don't know, managed expectations better. But I was so relieved to not be doing everything alone anymore." He paused, staring out at the dark water. 6 months in, Melissa decided family life wasn't what she wanted after all. Said she loved me but couldn't handle being an instant mother. And that's her right. I don't blame her for that realization. But Lily did, Emma guessed softly. David nodded. She was devastated. Kept asking what she did wrong, why her new mom didn't want her. It was like losing Caroline all over again, except this time, Lily was old enough to feel the full impact. He turned to face Emma, his expression raw with remembered pain. "I promised myself then that I wouldn't put her through that again. That I wouldn't bring someone into her life who might leave. She's already lost too much." "So you've been alone all this time, to protect her?" "To protect both of us," David corrected. "I can handle my own heartbreak. I can't handle watching her go through that again." Emma was silent, absorbing the weight of his words. "That's why you keep everyone at a distance. It's easier that way." "Is it?" Emma asked. "Because from where I sit, it looks incredibly hard. For both of you." David's laugh held no humor. "The alternative is worse." "You don't know that," Emma said gently. "You're making decisions based on fear of what might happen, not what is happening. And what's happening is that Lily is growing up watching her father choose isolation over connection." "That's not fair," David said, his voice tight. "Maybe not," Emma conceded. "But is it accurate?" The silence between them stretched, filled only by the sound of water lapping against the riverbank. "I'm terrified of failing her," David finally admitted, his voice barely audible. "Of making the wrong choice and watching her hurt again." "That's what makes you a good father," Emma said. "But part of parenting is showing our children how to live fully, how to take risks even when we're scared." How to trust again after being hurt. David looked at her then, really looked at her, as if seeing something new. When did you get so wise? School counselor, she reminded him with a small smile. Also, therapy. Lots and lots of therapy after my own divorce. You were married? Briefly. Catastrophically. She shrugged. But I learned from it. And eventually, I started dating again. And how's that working out for you? There was genuine curiosity in his question. Honestly? Terribly, Emma laughed. But I'd rather try and fail than not try at all. Each disaster gets me closer to something real. David smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. That's a surprisingly optimistic view. I'm surprisingly optimistic, Emma replied. Especially about people who deserve second chances at happiness. The moment between them shifted, charged with possibility. David's phone buzzed again, breaking the spell. Lily's ready to be picked up, he said, standing. I should go. Emma nodded, rising as well. Thank you for sharing with me. I understand better now. I'm not sure I gave you an answer, just an explanation, David said as they walked back toward the cafe. Sometimes understanding is enough, Emma replied. For now. 3 weeks later, Emma was supervising recess when Lily approached, her expression serious. Ms. Reeves, can I ask you something important? Of course, Lily. What's on your mind? The girl twisted her friendship bracelet nervously. Do you like my dad? Like him? Emma blinked, caught off guard. Well, I think your dad is a wonderful person. Why do you ask? Because he smiles more when he talks about you, Lily said matter-of-factly. And I think he's scared. Scared of what? Of liking someone again. Lily looked up, her eyes, so like her father's, direct and perceptive. I heard him talking to Grandma about you. He said you make him want things he shouldn't want. Emma's heart quickened. Lily, sometimes adult relationships are complicated. Because of me, Lily interrupted. Because of what happened with Melissa. Emma knelt to Lily's level. Your dad loves you very much. Everything he does thinking of you first. I know, Lily said. But I'm not a baby anymore. And? She hesitated, I don't want him to be alone because he thinks that's what I need. The wisdom in the child's words struck Emma deeply. Have you told him that? Lily shook her head. He doesn't like talking about sad stuff. He thinks I don't remember, but I do. I remember being sad when Melissa left. That must have been very hard, Emma said gently. It was, Lily agreed. But you know what? Dad was sad too, but he pretended not to be. For me. And now he pretends he's okay being by himself. But I don't think he is. Emma considered her words carefully. What would you like to happen, Lily? The girl thought for a moment. I want Dad to be happy. Really happy, not pretend happy. And I think maybe you make him happy. The recess bell rang, saving Emma from having to respond. As Lily ran to line up with her class, Emma remained kneeling, overwhelmed by the conversation. That evening, she sat at her kitchen table, staring at her phone. Professional boundaries. I understand you'd like me to continue the story. Here's the rest. That evening, she sat at her kitchen table, staring at her phone. Professional boundaries warred with personal feelings as she debated what to do with Lily's revelation. Finally, she typed a simple message to David, could we talk? Coffee tomorrow? His response came quickly, everything okay with Lily? She's fine. This is about something else. A longer pause followed before his reply appeared, Riverside Cafe. 10 a.m. The cafe was quieter on Saturday morning, sunlight streaming through large windows. Emma arrived early, her stomach a knot of nerves. She spotted David the moment he walked in, his expression concerned as he scanned the room. Hey, he said, sliding into the chair across from her. What's going on? Emma took a deep breath. Lily and I had an interesting conversation yesterday. David's brow furrowed. About? About you. About why you choose to stay alone. His face closed immediately. Emma, I appreciate your concern, but my personal choices aren't. She thinks you're alone because of her, Emma interrupted gently. Because of what happened with Melissa. David fell silent, the color draining from his face. She remembers more than you think, Emma continued. And she's worried that you're sacrificing your happiness for hers. She's 9, David said, his voice strained. She doesn't understand. I think she understands perfectly, Emma countered. She told me you smile more when you talk about me. David looked away, his jaw tight. I shouldn't have confided in you that night. Why not? Because it complicates things. Life is complicated, David, Emma said. Relationships are complicated. But that doesn't mean they're not worth having. He met her gaze then, conflict evident in his eyes. What exactly are you saying? I'm saying that protecting Lily doesn't have to mean isolating yourself. I'm saying that maybe, just maybe, you deserve a chance at happiness too. And you think you're that chance? His tone wasn't unkind, just cautious. Emma felt heat rise to her cheeks. I think there's something here worth exploring. But more importantly, I think your daughter wants you to try again. Not for her sake, but for yours. David stared into his coffee. I've spent 6 years making every decision based on what's best for Lily. And that makes you an incredible father, Emma said softly. But what if the best thing for Lily now is seeing her father brave enough to be vulnerable again? To show her that loss doesn't have to be the end of the story? You make it sound so simple. It's not simple at all, Emma admitted. It's terrifying. But sometimes the things that scare us most are exactly what we need. David was quiet for a long moment. I don't know if I remember how to do this, he finally said. Do what? Open up. Let someone in. His voice was barely audible. Trust that they'll stay. Emma reached across the table, her hand covering his. Maybe we figure it out together. Slowly. The tension in David's shoulders eased slightly. Lily really said all that? She's remarkably perceptive. Like her father. A small smile touched his lips. And stubborn. Like her mother. I would have liked to meet her, Emma said gently. Caroline would have liked you, David replied, surprising them both. She always said life was too short not to take chances. Smart woman. David turned his hand beneath hers, their fingers intertwining. So what happens now? Now? Emma smiled. Now we take it one day at a time. Maybe start with dinner? All 3 of us? I think Lily would like that, David said, his eyes warming. I think I would too. 6 months later, Emma stood in David's kitchen, helping Lily frost cupcakes for her school bake sale. David moved around them, preparing dinner with the easy familiarity of someone who had found his place. Dad, Emma needs to come camping with us next month, Lily announced, concentrating on applying sprinkles in a precise pattern. Does she now? David asked, exchanging an amused glance with Emma. Obviously, Lily continued. She's never been camping before. That's just sad. It is pretty sad, David agreed solemnly. Deprived childhood and all that. Emma flicked flour at him. Some of us preferred indoor plumbing and bug-free environments. Excuses, he teased, catching her hand and pulling her close for a quick kiss. Lily made a gagging sound, but her smile betrayed her. You guys are gross. Absolutely disgusting, David agreed, winking at his daughter. Later, after Lily had gone to bed, Emma and David sat on the porch swing, a blanket draped across their laps against the spring chill. She asked me something interesting today, David said, his arm around Emma's shoulders. What's that? She asked if I was still scared. Emma looked up at him. What did you tell her? David considered the question, his eyes reflecting the porch light. I told her the truth. That I'm still scared sometimes, but that being scared and being brave aren't opposites. That sometimes the bravest thing we can do is admit we're scared and move forward anyway. That's a good answer, Emma said softly. I had a good teacher, he replied, pressing a kiss to her temple. They swayed gently in the swing, the night peaceful around them. Emma thought about the man she'd met a year ago, so determined to protect himself and his daughter from pain that he'd walled off all possibility of joy. "Thank you," she said suddenly. "For what?" "For letting me in. For taking the risk." David's arm tightened around her. "Thank you for asking the question no one else would. For seeing past my walls." Emma nestled closer, feeling the steady beat of his heart. "Some questions are worth asking, even when the answers might shatter us. And some people are worth rebuilding for," David whispered, his voice full of certainty that had been hard-won. Above them, stars punctuated the darkness, each one a reminder that even after the deepest night, light always returns. All we need is the courage to wait for dawn, and someone to wait alongside us. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories that explore the depths of human connection and resilience. Remember that sometimes the most profound healing begins with a simple question and the courage to hear the answer, no matter how shattering it might be. Share in the comments if you've ever had a conversation that changed the course of your life. We'd love to hear your story.